Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Israel Doctrines Black Intelligence branch. Black Intelligence, Black Intelligentsia. I say it both ways. It's just another branch of Israel Doctrine Entertainment in which we give interviews, put up documentaries and different things to deal with the black perspective. You can follow us at Twitter at All Black Intel. You know, if you want to keep up with us on Twitter, if you're a Twitter person, if you want to call in to any of our shows and our programs, whether they be on Israel Doctrine, Google Hangout, or our Black Intelligentsia Hangout, you can call in at 312-985-7856, and you can listen in. And when we open up the mics for the Q&A, you can unmute yourself and participate in the program. Today's program is called Red, Black, and Green Liberation with our brother here. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, family. I'm good. I appreciate you having me on
Oh,
your
no problem.
platform.
Could you give the people your, complete name and who you are?
I go by Nettercat J Dizzle, um, along with being a new Black Panther Party member. You know, I push the principles of the red, black, and green, the RBG, and a lot of people only take the revolutionary but gangster aspect of it, but without the foundation, then you don't even know what you're banging for. So we can go into that later. I also have the program Black I Stand Radio that airs every Saturday at 1 p.m. West Coast time. And if you check the archive, you'll hear a powerful interview with Israel Doctrine on that program. And tomorrow we got the 50 Shades of Black with the Supernormal Goddess that we're gonna go into love, sex, relationships. Basically interpersonal relationships between the black man and woman, because that is the foundation of the nation. So that's how we doing it.
Okay, so you're currently a RBG member. Are you currently a RBG member?
I currently represent RBG. Yes, I do. Um, you can say that a lot of the people, a lot of the people I build with, I'm in the Seattle area. So for people who's not familiar with the Northwest, the major cities in Washington State are Seattle and Tacoma, which are about 40 minutes away. So I build with a lot of the RBGs, and I represent RBG. And I have spoken to and got the blessings from brother Emotep Cray, who basically put the RBG revolutionary but gangster down. So yes, I am authorized to say I am RBG, you know, but I keep with the foundation of the red, black, and green first and foremost. But because of my upbringing, I do push the revolutionary bug gangster. So when I'm out here and I do a lot of work with the youth, as I have for the past several years now, mentoring and things of that nature with youth that have been referred by the juvenile system, meaning that they got in trouble, meaning that a lot of them have gang affiliations and things of that nature. So what I tell them, since a lot of them are already gang affiliated, I don't tell them not to bang. I just tell them be revolutionary but gangster when you bang. If you're gonna bang that GD, if you're gonna bang that Crip, you're gonna bang that blood, then do it right. Don't do it against each other. Right now is the time where we bang and we learn our culture, we learn our political education, so that we can still use that same tough guy mentality, because we don't have to be soft. You can't be soft in a world like this when you're trying to bang for justice. Can't be soft in a world full of devils, because we ain't supposed to be afraid of the devil. We're supposed to make the devil scared of us. So what I do is just try to flip their paradigm into where, if you know your culture and you know yourself and you're guided by moral principles, then whatever you're doing, you should be doing it for your people and for the betterment of yourself, your family, your community, and your nation.
Most definitely. Now you say you ride with the foundation. What would you say is the foundation of Pan Africanism from the red, black, and green perspective?
Well, admittedly, I'm not as versed on Booker T. Washington. I did learn a lot from a program that you had on with the sister, the doctor.
Right.
You'd have to refresh me on her name. Yes, Dr. Wright. So I did get a little bit more brief on Booker T, but the foundation, as I know it, would be the number one, Marcus Garvey. He's the one that did the incredible works that he did to show us, not only to make us proud of who we are, but to make us a strive to be the best we can. You know, so I ride with Marcus Garvey. He's the one that reconnected
One
us back
second,
to the
bro.
conscious.
Hey, please mute yourself, caller. Please mute yourself. For all callers that will be calling in, please mute your phones into Q&A time. 840.
Oh, me?
Yes, mute your phone, please.
Oh, okay, my fault. Pardon.
No problem. So for anyone that's listening out there, please mute your phones. You may need to speak up a little bit or move a little closer to your microphone too, brother. You kind of low.
I got you. All right. So as I was saying, can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's better.
All right. So as I was saying, the foundation of RBG to me would have to be the one who brought us the red, black, and green, and that would be Marcus Garvey. He's the one that reconnected us to our roots. He's the one that showed us, um, you know, the different aspects of industry that we have to apply to be a nation, the different aspects of self determination and being able to feel like we have the capacity to be a nation and to be equal to, at least equal to, any other nation. So I'd have to say Marcus Garvey. And anybody who's saying red, black, and green who ain't giving respect and honor to Marcus Garvey and ain't giving respect to the colors of red, black, and green and knowing what they mean for, knowing what they stand for, then you ain't really doing it. So we there's a lot of people that's just hollering RBG as it's a fad, but they're not living it. They're not teaching it. They're using it, you know, as a way to hide behind their agenda, and we got to cut that out. You know what I mean? If we got to get serious about this liberation, it's a process. We don't have time to keep wasting. We cannot keep allowing the things that's happening to us to happen that we have control over. So a lot of the things that's going on in our situation, maybe the amount of control we have isn't sufficient at this point, but the things that is within our control, that's what we need to take control of first, and then we can handle the rest.
Okay,
So,
so what would you say that is from your opinion, from your studies?
but that we have control over.
Those, yes, the things that we have control over and that we need to perpetuate and solidify.
Well, the first thing, you know, any change has to start with self. It has to start with self-evaluation, self-criticism. So that means, we all know what different challenges we have within our personal lives to live a more refined life, to be a better example to our children, to make sure that we pass down these principles. If we're talking all this consciousness and we're not handing it down to our children, it's going to die when we die. You feel me? And even if we don't hand it to and even if we don't, some of us men go through certain things with our women, and maybe the access to the children isn't sufficient or whatnot. But there's so many in all of our neighborhoods. There's so many other children that can use guidance and mentoring, or just somebody to talk to, or somebody just to be an example of how they should move and give them culture. So I mean, it starts with self, and then it extends to family, then it extends to your neighborhood, community, and nation. So that means we have to be a better example. We have to personally, as men, treat our women, not just the ones we're intimate with, but any of them that we come in contact with, as somebody to be respected and protected. The children have to be the same. We have to teach the children. We have to show love and respect for the children, not just our own children, but our collective children, because it takes a village. See, these are African principles that we can go back to. These are even biblical principles that we can apply. We can use anything that can reform our personal self. So that means that we take accountability for what we need to make better within ourselves. And everybody knows what things they need to work on, what personal challenges that they have that they can refine themselves and be more effective in their own lives and affecting other people's lives. So it has to start with self first.
Okay. So now, how do we build our communities up? Once we start with self and we go to family, then we go to the neighborhood, which is the community, and we should be neighbors in our hoods,
That's
not
right.
just hood in our hoods. How do we now truly lock down our communities? What about self protection? What do you what's the remedy for that?
Well, in order to build communities, and in order to be effective in the communities, then we have to be known in the communities. We have to communicate with other people. There's different programs people can get involved in, So instead of just watching Sports Center 24/7, why don't you can find a football team to help coach. You can find a basketball team to help coach these youth. Because even if we look at these sports as just trivial entertainment, there still are principles in the sporting in sports that and disciplines that youngsters can learn that's beyond the sport. So they learn how to work as a team, they learn how to have discipline, they learn how to have respect for their elders, they learn different principles, and it gives them something to do rather than just run the streets, and it gives them exercise, healthy mind, healthy body. So it could be something as simple as that. It could be something as simple as volunteering a couple hours mentoring, volunteering a couple hours at the rec center. It could be as simple as just going outside, and I mean, you could just start as simple as going outside and just being a presence and talking to some of the youth, who might not have both parents or might not have a strong, stable family um, situation. At least they'll know that there is an elder out there that cares about them. Just say what's up to them, speak to them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just simple stuff like that is really how you can just start if you don't have the resources or the skills, or if you don't really know how to get involved in community organizations or community projects and things of that nature. You can just start with just a what's up and just building, just talking like we're doing right now, and letting the youth know, like, yo, there are elders out there that care. That does a lot, because I work with these youth. So one thing I find about these youth, no matter how much trouble they've been in, no matter what challenges they have, they are very intelligent. And if they have the guidance and somebody who will let them know that it's okay to be smart, it's okay to go and get good grades, it's okay to be a respectable person and pull your pants up, it's okay to be intelligent and all that. When they have somebody that could reinforce that idea, they want to do good. Believe it or not, they want to do good. They'll pull their pants up if you tell them to pull your pants up. They'll do it. They won't give you no slack about it. They'll do it. So I
So
mean, that's go ahead.
so now in the gangster world, we know that they say they have stuff like lit, meaning, rules, regulations, and history of the gang and so on and so forth when it was started, similar
Right.
to Greek fraternities and stuff for those that may not know much about gang life. So when one has a revolutionary but gangster mentality, is it any type of RBG lit or things of that
There
nature
definitely is.
that's
There
out there
definitely
for uh, roll with?
there is, and I'll go over a few of those. But what I want to do also is, just because you should always start at where somebody is at. You know what I mean? So in other words, if you're speaking to somebody who's already affiliated in a gang organization, then really the first thing, the only thing you have to do at first is make them accountable to their own script, to their own bylaws, the original bylaws. You know what I'm saying? So if you are cripping, in right now, these youngsters in the day and age we're at now, they don't understand that these organizations and gangs were not formed to be a destructive to their community. So you put them back on that. You let them know, hey, these were formed to protect the community from outside forces who would come and harm the community. These organizations were founded and constructed to, what I'm saying, look after the youth and the elders, and to be ready to bang even against the police if they're a threat to the community, or to white gangs that would come in, like in LA, that would come into the neighborhoods and beat up black kids. That's what these organizations were formed by. So if they go just to the principles and the foundation of their own lit, then that's the first foundation, and then we can incorporate them in the revolutionary but gangster, and it will all fit. And then we'll have a situation where Crips won't be adversaries to Bloods. You know what I'm saying? GDs won't be adversaries to Vice Lords. You won't see the gangs going against each other. You'll just see them as different parts in different communities, different organizations that come together like a united front, like a collective. And that's exactly what, you know, the FBI and the police purposely severed in the 70s, in the 60s. They purposely did that because they knew what was happening. They knew that these organizations that were popping up was a result of groups like the Black Panthers being dismantled and now not having any organization in the communities. So different neighborhoods would pop up, basically mimicking that, mimicking the Panthers, mimicking other revolutionary organizations.
Hold up. Who's talking? We doing an interview right now. In about 40, 50 more minutes, we'll open up the phone lines for Q&A and group chat. So I don't know who that is right now, but the brother's speaking, and you know we're gonna allow him to speak. Go ahead, brother. We talking about revolutionary but gangster and how that it has a influence on the gang culture and gang youth and trying to bring them back to their original lit or rules and regulations of the organization, and how that ties into the global or national perspective and principles that need to be understood and from an RBG perspective. So go ahead.
Well, like I was saying, when you're dealing with especially those who would call themselves, because right now you got Lil Wayne saying he's a Blood. You got all these rappers claiming these different gangs. So what that's doing is making these youth feel like that's what's cool. But they're not going in it with the foundation of the principles. They're going in it with this new post FBI counterintelligence reprogramming. So they're going in it thinking that as a gangster, they're supposed to sell drugs. As a gangster, they're supposed to be willing to shoot another black man for stepping on their toes, for stepping on their new Jordans. That's the mentality you're going in it. So what you do first is you make them, you educate them on what these organizations are originally founded on. And then you make them make the decision. You still banging? Because this is how you bang. Like this. You don't bang against your people. You bang for your people. Now, are you still cripping? Are you still blooding? Make them make that choice. And if they still, they can't say that they ain't doing it, you know what I'm saying? Because now their integrity is gone. So they have to stand up on those principles now. And then when we can look at each other as brothers again and sisters again, and not crabs and slobs and niggas and bitches and all that, when we can look at ourselves as brothers and sisters again, then we spoke about this before on Do the Knowledge Radio. When you're looking at yourselves as brothers and sisters, you can't rob your brother and sister. You can't steal from and kill and disrespect your brother and your sister, because that's family. So that's how we get back to those principles. We got to basically, pretty much everything that we've done in this country has always been built on family and love, because it had to be, because we had to survive. When people were killing us, we knew who our enemies was. So
I agree. I agree. So can you go deeper into RBG, lit or organizational standards, rules, and regulations and things of that nature? Because a lot of people that are not in it don't know, and I don't see how even at this day and time with the government getting involved in these street organizations, how they not letting their lit out there and their information out there, and everybody is not, well informed about, gang lingo and what's going on in the gangs, So secret societies is something that we shouldn't have in our communities as a whole. It may be some things that you need to keep secret in the community, but the
Right.
community as a whole should be able to understand what's going on in these streets organizations and even in the RBG movement from my perspective. So if you can
Right.
enlighten us on some more of that, seeing that you represent the
Yeah.
revolutionary but gangster perspective.
Let's go. All right. So the RBG code of conduct.
You breaking up there a little bit.
Snitching,
Hold up, you breaking up there a little bit. I don't know if you're.
ancestral treason,
Can you hear me,
loose lips, ships, snitching, kibble.
Jay?
Maybe something
Hello?
like, yo, I'm here.
You breaking
Yes,
up a
sir.
little bit. You breaking up. I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi. What's going on?
My Wi-Fi should be good. Can you hear me good? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know. It ain't the best. I'm trying to get people to listen on YouTube and tell me exactly what they hearing and stuff, but you know how it is. Um, we got to work with what we got. But you need to start over at that point because you was breaking up.
All right. RBG code of conduct. Number 1, no snitching. Now, first, before I go into the rest of the no snitching code, let's define what snitching is and what snitching isn't. All right. So, snitching is not if you see your brother murdered, and basically snitching is, if you're involved in something and you get caught, you don't rat out the homie to save yourself. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that the old lady who just seen her son get murked ain't gonna say something. She's gonna say something. You know what I'm saying? But snitching means you're involved in an act.
And
You
criminal
have
activities with a person, and to
right.
get lighter charges, you sail them down the river or tell or put the gun in their hand as the
That's
shooter or
right.
whatever.
And really, we could just say cooperating with the police, since we know that they ain't on our side anyway, is going to be treason. So I'm going to read the rest of it. The police, capitalism, the state, etc., are enemies to the people, and to work with them is criminal, ancestral treason, loose lips, sink ships, snitching is unforgivable. Next, no rape. To rape is a violation of a person's physical, mental, and spirit. It is barbaric and anti-African. Rapists should be dealt with. See, when we
So
have these,
this deal with both sex, right? No raping of males or females.
that's right,
Okay.
that's right. And when we have our shit in order, then there's no need to involve the police. We could police our own communities. So snitch, like I said, rapists should be dealt with. This is RBG code. This ain't J Dizzle. This is bigger than me. Bang for Uhuru, which means freedom. Warriors can only be initiated by an enemy. If you're going to bang, bang on the system, not other Africans. See? These are the principles that these gangs and organizations should be dealing with. Bang not on other Africans, but on the system. No exploitation. Don't exploit your people. You live in the hood. They live in the hood. And chances are they don't have anything more than you do. We don't have enough community leechers, or we have enough community leeches and pork chop preachers robbing the people. So what that means is, it's just really it's common sense and intelligence. Like if you're robbing another poor person, how are you going to get ahead? You know what I'm saying? If you're going to go that route, I'm not saying you should, but wouldn't it make more sense to go to a community that is prosperous, and probably prosperous because of our ancestors or because they're robbing from our communities in the first place, than just to rob the next person who's a victim of the exploitation?
Well, that's called a Robin Hood theory. Take from the bad, give to the good. Take from the rich, give to the poor.
Makes most sense. It don't make sense to take from the poor to give to the poor, because then you're just still poor. you know Warrior code. Security first. Protect women, children, and elders. Train. Work out. Get your fighting skills up to par. Police your own community. We don't need pigs overseeing us. No false flagging. Red, white, and blue ain't never did shit for you. Don't be a star-spangled slave. Get on the right team. Rally around the flag and some red, black, and green. Discipline. Get your mind right. Focus. Organize your life. Be committed. Build survival programs. The people come first. You are your brother's or sister's keeper. Capitalism teaches individualism, which is anti-African. We have to create programs that are for the best interest of our people, especially food, clothes, and shelter. Political education. Each one teach one. It is important for African people to have knowledge of self. We have to be able to articulate why we are in the conditions we are in, who put us in these conditions, and how we can get out of these conditions. Your word is your bond. Death before dishonor. Warriors are only as good as their words. Make your word your bond. There it is. That's the code of
All right.
conduct. So
So
go ahead.
y'all don't have the ride or die plan in there, which was stated to be from the Black Panther Party. If you have a gun and the police show up or whatever, you got to ride with it, or you know the concept?
Well, I know that it says bang. I know that number 5 was bang for Uhuru or freedom. So, you know.
Okay, it's all good. I was just asking. A lot of youngsters heard Pac use that, ride or die slogan, but they really don't know where it comes from.
Right. And well, I'll say it like this. I mean, if you really want to make people accountable, just put it like this: for any dumb reason that we can come up with to shoot our own brothers, for stepping on our shoes, for bumping into us, for holding the stair too long, if you can't do that to a police, then don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could sit there and watch your homeboy or your mother get beat down by the police, but you wouldn't allow somebody to put their hands on you, you wouldn't allow a black man to do that, then you shouldn't be allowing anybody to do that. So if you can forgive or let a police get away with something, then you damn sure should be letting your own brother get away with that. In other
Okay.
words, we got to refocus how we look at this. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how when, we in the streets, we tough and we talking and it's this and that, and we're so hard and gangster. We got these guns and all this. As soon as the police show up, we ditching guns, we running, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I feel you 100%. I think it's a big problem with what's going on in the streets and the jailhouses and the organizational skills that people are using. Because you should be able to go into the prison house and be just as comfortable as you are on the streets or whatever, because there's people that you know in there from the organization or whatever. And if you're going in there for the proper reason and not because you shot a brother, or killed, what I'm saying, did harm to the community, then, those are political prisoners now. And all political prisoners should stick together. So, what do you feel about that? You could go in and we could talk about that a little bit.
Well,
Really, we're gonna probably open it up for conversation because, I don't know. It's only so much we can just pull out the air ourselves. So,
I mean, I put it like this. Like I was saying before, there was a time where we collectively as a people knew who our enemy was, right? So when it was a blatant, like now it's kind of camouflaged and systematic. in a way that now we can, interpret who our enemy is. But back in the days, like we even just take it to the '60s, we knew that we had to stick together because the police were blatantly sicking dogs on us. They were blatantly telling us that we can't sit here, we can't eat there, we can't drink there. You know what I'm saying? It was so blatantly cut and dry that we had no choice but to be family. Now, since this integration made us feel like it's all good, now we compete with each other for favors at a higher rate. We compete with each other for the favor of our enemies. So now we can break ourselves up in games. Now we can
You
break
fading
ourselves
out
up.
a little bit again.
Right. Well, I don't know if I answered the question, but I mean, like I said, when we come back to the family essence, not just the family, our own individual families, but I'm saying as we are a family, black men and women across the nation, like me and you are brothers, and you're over in Chicago and I'm in Seattle. That's how we have to always be looking at it. We have to get back to where, if someone ain't doing good, they could always call up one of their brothers and get help. They could, you know what I'm saying? We don't have that no more. Now it's suspicious if I go and offer help to a stranger, to a brother who I don't know. If I'm in New York and I try to help somebody because their tire's flat, they're gonna think I'm really trying to rob them. We got to get back to where we love each other, respect ourselves, and know that we're family and we'll look out for each other. That's what these other nations do. These other nations don't see themselves as divided. They understand that their survival is only on their unity. We outnumber Europeans. So if they are not united in some fashion, they will not be able to secure their temporary position on us. So when we get to the point where we understand that we are family, we don't have to agree on everything, but what happens to you is going to affect me. When we get back to that, a
Well,
lot of this will clear up.
this is what organization is all about. The family is just a small unit or organization, which plays a bigger role in the bigger unit and organization. Would you agree?
Right. I agree with that 100.
So it goes back to the initial question, like how do we build our community? I believe that and this might be the think tank right here where we birthed this thought into the RBG community, you know, uh, that we need RBG civics. Civics is just another form of saying politics, and you got to
Mm.
teach people how to, be community activists, how to be active in the civics that take place in our community, from the city hall to the water department and to, everything else that goes on in the community. But this is, could you mute your mics, everyone that's calling in? This is where we got to go back to protecting the community, taking care of the community, cleaning the yards, and making sure everybody have, cause if you stay in Seattle, I don't know about, I know downstate, California, when you go to Cali, I used to stay in, Victorville and San Diego and different spots in, San Bernardino and stuff in California, and they had, they had codes and stuff. Everybody, please mute your mics until we get to Q&A. We'll be opening up Q&A pretty soon. So for those on the phone, please mute your mics. I'm still getting some background with somebody with a child. So, you know what I'm saying? The way the yard had to be taken care of and mowed, and the water that you use and in the regulations that went on in the community. See, we got to learn how to run our communities and be civic minded.
That's right. That's right.
313, I believe you the last one to call in. We getting a little feedback because you got your mics open. We not uh open to the community just yet to do Q&A.
Right. And what you just spoke on is very necessary, and that's part of the build survival programs. I mean, food, clothing, and shelter. So that, you know, and you don't have to say you're red, black, and green if you're building this program. Just build it with the principles in mind. Build it knowing that if we can feed ourselves and clothe ourselves and shelter ourselves, that is a form of independence. That is a form of controlling over our own community. So we don't, you know, so if we we should have programs like we feed we feed the youth in the community out here, you know, as my duties as a new Black Panther Party member. We do that. We protect the churches. Whether we agree with everything they say or not, it don't matter. There are people. So if there's people threatening them, as there has been, if there's white militia groups and you know, white folks or anybody who's threatening the churches, then we're gonna be there. This is how we have to look at it. This is how we have to think about it, especially those of us who will claim that we're hardcore, that we're thugs, that we ain't scared, that then we should be the ones that's vanguarding in our community. Whether you're a part of an organization or not, whether you just got a couple buddies that are like-minded, or whether you just yourself, this is how we should do it. And that example will spread, and people will see that.
Yes, 1 second. 313. Could you please mute your mic till we open up the Q&A, please?
I don't have it unmuted, bro.
You can't mute it?
No, I didn't unmute. How do you unmute it? I didn't unmute.
Nah, this is not like blog talk or whatever, brother. You gotta use your physical mute button on your phone to.
What's the number? What I push?
I don't know what type of phone you have. It's all right. We'll live through it.
Okay, I thought you had to put a number on it. Okay, I just put mute on my phone. Hold on.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, how you feel about getting ready to open it up or whatever? You know, we got Knowledge here with us. We got a couple callers. You know,
I said let's let them build in that on with us.
all right, so y'all can unmute yourself, y'all on the phone, and Knowledge you with us. You know what to do. Unmute yourself, and you know, basically we can have Q&A or group conversation. I oppose that. I would say that people need to really put out some websites and show the layout and foundation of what it is that one trying to accomplish and bring about in this movement. Because I don't believe RBG has a central hub. I believe that it's simple. It's similar to the gang life. You can find Renegade, Bloods, Crips, Vice Lord, Blackstones, GDs, and different things that due to the fact that the chiefs and the different people are locked up, you know, different fashions that arose out of them. So in the RBG world, from my perspective and what I've been looking at, is different fashions that then rose up out of it, and it needs to be a main voice to a degree. It needs to be someone that's putting out the information and showing people what it is that we need to be doing. Like the civics thing I'm talking about. You know, when we go to school, they teach us civics classes.
Right.
Most people don't pay attention to them or take the information because they don't know the significance of it. You know what I'm saying? When I was in school, I loved civics, but I didn't really, understand how it applied to the real world. So it kind of left me after a while because I wasn't participating in it. But what do y'all think about that? Because I don't know no website today that I can go to and get like the Panthers used to have a 10-point plan, as you just gave us a good layout of some things. You know, you get the 10-point plan, you get this, you get everything that you need, to start you off as a revolutionary. What books to read, what authors, laid the blueprint of the foundation for us. Is it Amos Wilson, for us what he put out there? Is it James Cone with Black Liberation Theology? Is it that book? Is it what's the library should be like?
I'll give you. I'll say this. There, you can if you Google RBG Communiversity, then you can get a lot of that what you're speaking of. But what you said is very true as far as the central, hub or whatnot. It's not there. and partly because it was actually created like that purposely. Therefore, there can't be a central location or a central person that can be neutralized that would have the effect. So that's the blessing and the curse of it. And also, since that the revolutionary but gangster aspect of RBG is new, it's embryonic in its development. You know what I mean? Infant, if you will, at best. So there's a lot of growth and development still to come, and there's still a lot of, you know, sit downs and hashing out and you know, refinement that has to be done. And right now, there's no better time than right now to do that. You know, to start looking at how this thing could be refined. You know, because like you said, there's a lot of renegade people who will false flag, who will claim this and that as they're doing reckless things that go against the code of conduct. And that happens when you don't have initiation process, you know, or rites of passage to get in. Because when you get into the Crips or Bloods, you might get beat down. You get into the GDs, you might get blessed. But there's a ritual, there's an actual something that you do before you're recognized by your peers as part of that organization. And you know, it only makes sense at this time that we would have to bring that to the RBG. And we can never forget that RBG, first and foremost, is red, black, and green. So the principles of Marcus Garvey have to be embedded in anybody who's claiming that.
And so now, what about the controversial statement that Marcus Garvey is a Christian? What do that play in the mindset of, you know, most people out there from what you've seen, and how do you look upon that?
That's a good question. You know, Marcus Garvey didn't, even though he didn't outright, he didn't say that you have to be as I am to be part of his UNIA movement. But he did let it be known that he's guided by principles that the foundation were Christian, or some would say the commandment keepers, which you might say is one of the first Israelite or Black Hebrew groups. Nevertheless, he you know, and I was speaking with knowledge about this, and it's good for people to have a faith or something, that a backbone that is spiritual or even religious, you know, that has morals and principles. So he didn't hide the fact that he was a Christian. He didn't hide the fact that God was a part of what he does, and you know, how he's focused and his morals, and that we need that to be part of whatever we do. That doesn't mean that you have to push your concept or your spirituality or your religion on other people. But yeah, we should have, you know, saying morals and guys. We should know that, yo, God has to be a part of this, however you define him or her or it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what keeps people, you know, focused. And you know, there's laws and principles and rules and commandments or whatnot that, yeah, we have to honor those, because that's one thing that I think was missing from the original Black Panthers. It was purposely no religion, purposely no spirituality in place. But for people like us, you can't do that. You can't do that
Yeah.
for us.
Anybody got anything they want to say? You can open up your mics and stuff now, mute yourself, and participate in the conversation. Hello? All right. Well, you know, like I said, for the most part, you know, it's a lot of people ignorant of RBG. You know, the revolutionary gangster, the blood, the skin tone, the land in which those of that hue of skin tone, melanin, is murdered up on, blood shed on. You know, so now I would like to ask, like when I did the look cover for the event, you see I put red, black, and green United States up there. So
Right.
now, what's your thoughts on staying in America and building what we need here in America and going abroad?
Well, that's another good question. Um, we have a unique dual citizenship, or even in some cases um, loyalty, I guess, because our ancestors did put in work on this continent, but we know that we actually are from the continent of Africa. So for us to actually, all of us collectively, they say there's 40 million of us. I would say there's probably at least 100 million. I don't believe their numbers. We can't be 12% of the population for 60 years. You know what I mean? So regardless what the number is, for all of us to go to Africa, to different countries, would only overwhelm, saying they're, overwhelm them, and it wouldn't really be, it's not logical. So some people are going to stay here regardless. So we might as well at least control the communities that we live in. And since we do have other cities that our forefathers did find in the early 19th century or 20th century, in the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s, since we do have cities right now, we have 13 of them in Oklahoma. We got them in Georgia. We got them in Kansas, Florida. We have black towns that are like, small towns that are dying out because all the intellectual intelligence and properties of those towns will move to other cities, to build. So it's those of us who are going to stay here, yeah, we should exercise some type of sovereignty. We should go back to these communities and build them, make them thriving communities where we can grow our own food. We don't have to eat these GMO food, these GMO animals and produce. We can grow our own food. We could make our own clothes out of cotton, out of hemp, get textiles from other places. We can make our own clothes. We can build our own homes. We can build manufactories, distribution centers. Marcus Garvey had a whole fleet of ships in 1920 something. He didn't have no Facebook to build his movement with. He didn't have no YouTube to broadcast what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't tweet. He couldn't cell phone people. He couldn't go and Google some information. Yet he built what he built. So we don't have no excuse for not being able to do something to that capacity with all this technology we have. Now that the world is so small, we can easily touch different countries and make deals with people in other countries. There's no reason why we can't feed, clothe, and shelter ourselves. There's no reason why we can't have more control over our communities where we're the majority. But it takes political education. It takes a lot of different things in place, and it takes people stepping up.
I would agree. So
I do think, not to cut you off, I was just going to say, so I do think those who feel like, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I have family and friends on the continent, and I would love to go there and live there. But until then, I'm going to try to make where I'm at livable and better, because we can really we're global. So yeah, I believe that we should have our own territory right here where our ancestors gave their lives. Yeah, we should have our own right here, and we should make sure that our homeland is taken care of as well. So I believe both of them, repatriation and building the nation right here. We could do both simultaneously.
most definitely, most definitely. So, hey, who want to speak? Y'all called in. Y'all telling me y'all here and y'all want to speak. If that's what it is, that's cool too. Um, Knowledge, what's up with you? You there? So, tell the people once again about the programs you got coming up over there, bro.
Yeah, well, on Black I Stand Radio tomorrow, 8 o'clock Pacific time, which will be 11 on the East Coast. We have the first episode of 50 Shades of Black, co-hosted with the Supernormal Goddess. I encourage all females and all black women and men to call in. This what we talk about on this program. We're going to be talking about love, sex, relationships, things of that nature. And there's a lot of single people who are have gripes You know what I'm saying? We have married couples that whatever. So we should be able to talk about this kind of stuff, you know, amongst our own people. We promote only heterosexual. So we don't want to hear about your gay lovers and all that. That's Black Lives Stand is not a platform for that. This is heterosexual black male, black woman relationships that we're dealing with. So, you know, you see on Facebook a lot of posts about complaining this and that. Well, let's go ahead and just air that out. Let's get it out and let's talk about it. So that's going to be tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Then Saturday, we have Crystal Tucker and her Art Unity Network. She'll be on the program, which runs every Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time.
Okay, we got another guest in the room. Who is? How you doing?
That's me, Carl. I just happened to be in a different email when I signed in.
All right, peace. How you doing?
I'm just listening in for now.
All right. Well, we in the Q&A. We just talking and stuff. We've been talking about RBG, revolutionary but gangster in red, black, and green. You know, the blood that's been shed and the skin tone that you know, in the land. So
I just kind of tuned in, so I didn't really get his full position. So I just listened in till I have a question.
all right. So what about the callers? Y'all participating or y'all just sitting there? Once again, I'm asking.
Don't be scared now.
Huh? I scared them.
Y'all don't be scared now, y'all. Y'all was unmuted coming in the building all unmuted, babe. Come on.
Well, I ain't look to scare nobody. It's just, you know, we try to keep it
This is family, y'all. This is family.
Yeah. We got Niyami. Peace. How you doing, bro? So we got a collective of you know, Pan-African RBGs here on the panel. So any questions y'all would like to ask the brother about his understanding of the movement and what's going on with the movement?
I guess I mean, like I said, I just was trying to get a clear perspective of his ideology in association to Pan-African or red, black, and green.
Well, I mean, I'll try to summarize it like this. You know, I believe in and I work towards and for the liberation and independence of our people, no matter where on the planet we happen to be right now. So that means if you're on the planet of Africa, I want you to be free. But of course, I have to start with where I'm at, which is in the United States. But my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and in London, I don't care what you believe in spiritually, as long as it's not, you know what I'm saying, counterproductive to our freedom and liberation and not divisive. So I can work with anybody of any ideology when it comes to religion or spirituality. I do criticize any and all of them where I feel they need to be criticized or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we have a right to that for self. But as a people, we have to be able to look past that and work together in our own capacities that don't compromise our spiritual views, our morals and principles that we live by. But we have to understand that we have to band together and we have to be Pan-African, just like Europeans are Pan-European. You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen European nations fight against each other since World War II because they understood that them being the minority, they would wipe themselves off the planet and they would lose control of everything that they done lied, deceived, stolen, murdered to get. So we have to react the same way. We have to start. It's okay to have debates and have different ideas and stuff. But at the end of the day, we have to see each other as brothers. Because if I'm fighting with my physical brother and somebody comes in and jumps on either of our side, we both going to turn around and beat his ass. And that's how we have to look at it. So it's okay if we have debates or whatnot. It's okay if we have different ideas. It's okay if we even sometimes argue. But at the end of the day, for our survival, if we don't want to stay in this situation we're in, where we could be gunned down by the police, where we could be fed poisonous food, where we could be fed poisonous education, poisonous spirituality, spiritual warfare through the propaganda on the TV and the radio, if we don't want to keep living in these conditions, then we have to see each other as brothers and sisters across, not just in our communities, but across the globe.
Is he are you Garveyite or what?
Definitely. Red, black, and green. That's what RBG stands for, first and foremost.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I agree with you, man. That you know what I'm saying, we got different tribes, but it's still one nation. You know, we got different sects, we got different gangs, or whatever you want to call it, and whatever terminology you want to use, what religion, what ideology you use. We need to come to terms to know that we got one common goal, one common cause, and that's the liberation of our people. You know, and all the other things, you can step to your people and talk about the things that you want to talk about in terms of your spirituality, your core basis, you know, the other thing. But as a nation, we know that we need land, we need finances, we need to be able to take care of our family, we need to be able to eat.
Right.
Well,
I mean, the Europeans do it. You know what I'm saying? They from different countries. Like brother said, they from different countries, but they work collectively together. You know, I could be a blood crip. I could be a blood, but I still can fuck with you and deal with you because you know what I'm saying. You a crip, it don't matter if we networking together and we work together for a common goal. You know what I'm saying? We can push that other shit to the side. That shit don't mean nothing.
I mean,
You
that
know
was
what I'm saying?
Death
We
Row
don't stand
Records.
in solidarity.
That was Death Row Records. For most people that don't know,
That's
and they
right.
made a
Right.
big, huge impact on the music industry.
That was West Side Connection.
That too.
You
So,
understand?
for the most part, one thing about it, like this debate thing that you just brought up, why isn't it
Right.
more and more of them are not being held in certain places and dealt with in a proper manner? Do we really know how to debate? Do we
No.
really know what needs debating? This is a
No.
political season that's about to go on. We got Killer Mike running around with Bernie Sanders and stuff, and the brother's sounding good, and he's talking on that level with the people, right? So once again, what is we doing? You know, all of us say we ideologies and we doing this and we doing that, but no one is really footing a bill and trying to bring anyone in their community to sit down with their leader or their activists in their community and really conversate and talk about the civics and the principalities and things that govern us, our communities. You know, we trying to do it a little bit here on, you know, Blog Talk and YouTube and, you know, Facebook and things of that nature. But when are we really going to, you know, spend some money and bring somebody out to our area and sit down and have a real conversation and talk about, you know, the things that govern our community and stuff? I mean, this is how we can, you know, gain some economics and things of that nature. You know, it's a lot of independent people out there right now. I don't want to really call no names, but they doing it and they making money off of it, and they're drawing a crowd and they're using it, these platforms, as the brother was saying earlier, though, to kind of use as propaganda against certain people and certain groups in the community and stuff. But you know, people keep complaining about what other people doing, but they're not trying to set up debates. They're not trying to talk about the subjects and the issues that need to be talked about. When we gonna start really taking what sides back and using it? You know, hip hop. That's what being on the microphone is about. That's why I had uh B Dot on here talking to that brother and stuff. He out there from the West Coast, you know, and you know how he's trying to change the game and deal with it from a lyrical perspective. You know, dealing with those that will only talk about sex, money, and murder and things in they lyrics, you know, and they punchlines and stuff. So when are we gonna start really promoting and helping these brothers? When y'all gonna have B Dot on y'all show, Knowledge and Jay?
ASAP, man.
Hey,
ASAP.
I like
Because
to
when it
make.
comes,
Oh, sorry. No,
No,
no.
I'm gonna
Go ahead, brother.
go ahead.
Do your thing.
I'm gonna go after you, man. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, I pretty much like I don't want to seem like I'm not really in agreement with a lot of things that you're speaking of, and with some of the other people are bringing out, and from an RBG perspective, right? Well, I come in the game with a program where, as I watched various groups out there, you got the Revolutionary But Gangster, you got the New Black Panther Party, you have Sodnetta TV, you got the Amin Ra Squad. All these people have the red, black, and green affiliated to their ideologies, right? Okay, so when I studied Pan-Africanism, I took it back to the earliest conception of it, right? And understanding where it was formulated and what the purpose of it was for all of these groups to band under RBG, as well as you can come into the fold of it with your brand of ideology in order to create culture and economics and development for the race worldwide. So that was the purpose. But what I noticed is that uh, various groups, they have decided that Christianity is some type of a threat to black folks, and so they turn to bashing the Bible while raising the RBG flag, which is a ridiculous contradiction when you realize who gave you the flag and what he told you to do with it. He didn't tell you to turn around and bash him for giving you the ideology, the principles, and the understanding. And this is the problem with what's happening with the development of black conscious groups. It's okay to have a personal disagreement against someone's ideology, and you guys debate the arguments on that ideology so that those that's listening can kind of get to the truth of the matter. But if you're going to come under a banner where we're going to unify, then the unification, you never hear Garvey and them speaking against the other ideology, even though he was pushing a Christian brand. And that's what I see today. Like, people are miscued about what this RBG is about.
Well, I appreciate your comment, and I think that what you said was powerful and needs to be discussed. These are mature conversations that we have to have. I would say this though. Um, well, first of all, I didn't see Garvey as pushing Christianity. I think that was his foundation personally, and he, with that foundation, he did the wonderful things he did.
Real
And
quick, when you make a statement like that to a Garveyite, then you think to yourself, what is he talking about? Garvey got a 10-point plan in the UNIA on what you
I
supposed to be
understand that.
doing, and
Let me just
Christianity
finish.
is on that 10-point plan.
Oh, well, let me just finish because I'm not.
No sweat. I
What I'm
won't.
saying is that what I'm saying is that, as you alluded to earlier, he didn't say that you have to be a Christian to be part of his program, which is a very intelligent thing to do. All right. So, and when you see people that are bashing Christianity raising the RBG banner, that's destructive, divisive behavior. I can't even say personally that I haven't partaken in certain divisive things like that, but that's part of a growth and development of a person's spirituality sometimes, and I don't think they're actually it's being done to bash Christianity as much as bash white supremacy, who they see pushing their Christianity. So it's not like a rejection of our people so much, even though sometimes it might be manifest as that. It's really just saying, hey, when you're looking at it from certain perspectives, so it takes spiritual growth and development, it takes education, because a lot of these people that are Christians don't know nothing about the Bible, don't use it. So I think a lot of people reject the notion that the Eurocentric white supremacist brand of Christianity that was given to us. And I think that's the best way, when they start becoming conscious and proud of who they are, and proud African. And I think that's something that they think they have to do. But that's an immature level that most people will probably grow up from, and those who don't, then we just really can't even give them too much, because they're not really doing anything for the cause anyway. So we really shouldn't pay them too much mind. We have to be able to come under a confederation. That's what you were alluding to earlier. So
Right.
that all these groups can band under that. So if you look at history, if you look at the Confederate States, these were different states, right? Another word for state is country. So South Carolina didn't have the same currency as Georgia. Georgia didn't have the same currency as Alabama. These were actually independent countries with a governor / president, but they were a confederacy. They joined together under one flag, right? Because they had the same objectives, even if their methodology was different. They had the same objective, which is that they want to succeed from the Union. So we can learn from that. So we can come under the red, black, and green. We don't have to have the same religion, but we should be tolerant to each other's different
Right.
spiritual point of views. But that
That's why
comes
I
with
came up with
maturity.
that's why I came up with the term and tried to lay it out there earlier in my campaign, for the red, black, and green, mindset. Um, Black liberation theology arms, or arms of theology. That's what all these things are. They just different arms of theology
Yes.
that
Yeah.
people are using to
Right.
deal with Black liberation theology, which if you read James Cone and study his writings, which he based his writings up on Malcolm and Martin, so the same time period we talking about in which COINTELPRO was at his strongest, then we see, Christian and Muslim perspectives and, the get your head bashed in and pick up the gun and fight back conversation and stuff that was going on at that time. So we got to understand that these are liberating arms also, but they're theological arms from a theologian perspective. So when you find
Right.
those that want to be atheists, then the best thing to do, excuse my French, everybody, is tell them to go sit their ass down somewhere and quit attacking the theological arms and perspective of the movement.
That's right. I agree with that. I mean, I think part of this is because of the conditioning. We can't forget about the conditioning that we came up under the suppressor, which was to divide each other, divide ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Willie Lynch said that the slave master should divide their slaves by skin tone. So lighter skinned slave and a darker skinned slave should be at odds, basically. A male and a female should be at odds. A younger and an older should be at odds. Somebody who works on a big plantation versus a little plantation should be at odds. So naturally, we're going to do the same thing with spirituality until we shake that Willie Lynch chip. So we have to shake these conditions that have been created externally and get back to our core principle, because I don't believe that, without the European influence, I don't think that we would be beefing over spirituality. I'm pretty sure in the continent as big as Africa, before there was white influence, I'm pretty sure people had different spiritual practices, religions, ways they dressed, and I'm pretty sure they didn't beef over that. They might have beefed over land or resources, but I'm pretty sure I haven't learned of any beefs that were purely of a religious nature or purely of a, you know what I mean? So these are some of the things that as we get to know ourselves truly, so like if we're truly studying Garvey, if we're truly studying what it's going to take to be liberated and independent, if we're truly studying the principles of some of our master teachers, or I'll call prophets, whether they're biblical prophets and whether they're just prophets from our modern ancestral line within this current struggle that we're in, if we truly study those principles, then we're not going to beef over things that we, you know what I'm saying? We're going to find things to bond over, and we're going to see more similarities and more things that we can actually work together for, and that we agree with and that we don't agree with. But because we've been conditioned a certain way, we like to highlight the conflicts rather than saying, okay, so we don't believe on that, we don't agree on that, that's cool, but do we agree that we need schools in our communities that teach our children our culture? Okay, we agree on that. Do we agree that we do need to start farming our own food? We do agree on that? Okay, cool. Do we agree that we need to build, you know what I'm saying, institutions and infrastructure in our communities? We agree on that. Let's work on that. So if we're building a school, you could be a Muslim, I could be a Christian, and we're building a school. And at lunch break, I can go and pray to Allah, you can pray to Jesus or whoever. But then when we're done doing that, then we go back to building that foundation, laying the framing, laying the plumbing, laying the heating, and do real
But
work.
can I say this? First of all, when you RBG minded, you're going back to a time of like Garvey to get your framework. You're not going back to Elijah Muhammad to get your framework. You're not going back to Noble Drew Ali to get your framework. That's not what RGB is going to do if they're keeping it true and real. Not saying that their framework wasn't effective, just simply saying their framework isn't RBG. When you
Well,
look back, huh?
you got to keep in mind two things, though, because everybody that you mentioned other than Garvey, this foundation was Garvey.
I understand that. But what I'm trying to tell you, see, this is what I do on my page, and I laid it out well. And I know a lot of people not familiar with us yet, but we're going to make a few more videos and come on a few more radio shows, and we're going to point this out. See, when you see Garvey and you talk about their framework was Garvey, I am in total agreements with you. I know for a fact that both Noble Drew Ali and Elijah Muhammad sat
And
in Garvey's classroom.
that's true.
So then they went off and did their thing with a few donations from Garvey to help them out, right? So when you understand that, one of the things you notice is they didn't take that flag with them. They didn't bounce with that flag. Garvey had the flag. Elijah did not have the flag. Noble Drew Ali did not have the flag. To this day, you don't see them with that flag. Now, the person coming out of their organizations, spinning off into other things, they may have adopted the flag, but their particular and that doesn't knock them. Like, you don't have to be RBG to go out and save black people. You could come up with your own thing and your own flag and your own ideology and go save black people better than Garvey or anybody have ever done it. So it's not saying that you have to be that, but if you're going to choose to be associate yourself with that, then you have to accept and understand the philosophy. At least acknowledge that it's the foundation, and you may have advanced it some with some new ideology that you found, but that's the principle. That's the problem of the principles today, is that these guys really don't know the history. See, if I say, well, where did Garvey get his format from? Because he sure didn't make it up. All you got to do is go to Garvey, and Garvey will tell you that he got his from Booker T. Washington, that he framed the UNIA the same way Garvey framed Tuskegee. So when you talk about a STEM program and building science, technology, engineering, mathematics, agriculture, you ain't talking about Garvey, you talking about Booker T, because Booker T had that laid down for decades before Marcus Garvey showed up. So all Marcus Garvey did was see a perfected system, and he took it a little further because the man was deceased and couldn't push it no further. So therefore he took the mantle and pushed it further and did more with it, just as we supposed to take the mantle and push it further and do more with it.
Right. Yep. And
We
you know what
got
I'm saying?
something with that.
So you're speaking of
Oh, go ahead, brother.
a
Go ahead.
point. So I mean, that's a point of reference. So at the end of the day, you can't get away from Garvey, and if you can't get away from Garvey, you can't get away from Booker T. So basically, the foundation is laid in our ancestors, you can say. So you know, some different branches, as you said, branch thought they didn't take the flag. You know what I'm saying? And they might have had their own personal agendas. They might have, for whatever reason. But like you said, as long as they're pushing for liberation and independence, whatever way, because we're a diverse people. So some people are going to come in on this level come in over here. Some people are going to be attracted by this. At the end of the day, if we're collectively working for the liberation and independence of our people, then we are RBG, whether we know it or not, because it's red, black, and green.
That's untrue. If you're not raising this flag, you're not a part of it. You got something else.
I disagree. If you're not part of the UNIA, then what you're saying, you shouldn't raise the flag because the UNIA
flag is not a UNIA flag, brother.
No,
it's not a UNIA flag.
The UNIA carries the principles of Garvey.
What I'm saying is the RBG flag is not a
UNIA
flag.
Shouldn't be. Then what you're saying, you shouldn't carry the flag. That's not true.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the RBG flag is not a UNIA flag. That's not what that flag is. That flag is a nation flag that everybody who is being a part of the collective is representing. We're a part of it. So we're raising the flag so that you can see us out here, that we recognize it. And therefore you got several countries who adopted that color into their flag, and they're letting you know we down with that. And then if you're not down with it, you raising a different flag. It doesn't mean that you trying to go to war against it. It just, you got your own thing that's different. And that's what that means. So it's not a UNIA flag. It's a red, black, and green flag for those who are trying to be part of a Pan-African system.
That's exactly what the brother said.
No, but you can't have some other kind of flag that does not represent it and say that you're a part of it.
Well, this goes into the false flagging that we was talking about earlier. If you're not a blood, then you shouldn't be wearing that flag. You shouldn't be wearing them colors. If you're not a Crip, you shouldn't be wearing that flag. You shouldn't be wearing those colors. So I guess it's boiling down to the fact that if you're going to have the RBG flag, the red, black, and green, you can't usurp it for yourself. You can't, you can't fly it and not be a part of the principles that was laid down, which, yes, the UNIA is a part of that because Garvey was over that, but then Christianity is a part of that because Garvey was a part of that. So all these things tie into, the making of that flag.
Right. But and when remember, the flag represents the sacrifice of our ancestors or the blood, the people, our nation. Black, the green is the health or the wealth or the land. So who's to say who can fly that flag or who can represent those colors? Maybe not in the flag form, but represent those colors. Who are we to say that somebody can't represent those colors because they're not clicked up or tribal with the tribalism part of it? Now, and like I said, at the end of the day, if that organization is coming into place like the Nation of Islam,
his phone is low.
Hold up, and they're teaching the principles of self-refinement, the principles of self-sufficiency, feed, clothing, and shelter ourselves. Love Pan-African wide, and they don't raise their red, black, and green. That doesn't mean that at the end of the day they're not red, black, and green because because Elijah Muhammad was a Garveyite at the end of the day. So that's gonna be.
Well, you gotta speak up a little bit or get closer to your mic. You drowning out.
At the end of the day, it's all gonna come under red, black, and green. When the day comes where we are nationhood, liberated, and independent, it's red, black, and green, no matter what. That's
you're
what it
fooling
is.
yourself.
Can't get away from that.
You're fooling yourself.
No, I'm not.
There are people out there who have a different flag.
So let's agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? He can have his ideology. You can have your ideology because we're gonna go back and forth over and over. Let's be men and let's be gentlemen and let's get this shit together because we acting like some bitches out here. We do too much motherfucking bickering amongst each other out here. You know what I'm saying? Everybody fucking saying this shit, saying that shit, dogging each other, but throwing each other's idea down. We ain't acting like no motherfucking men. We can't never get organized like that. First thing is everybody needs to organize their own motherfucking sect that they in. That's the first motherfucking thing. Get organized. Set up some motherfucking principle. Set it up like a motherfucking organization. Set it up like a motherfucking like the coach knows we can come together. Like this structure. Yeah, we gotta have structure. structure. The first thing, you gotta have principles. You can never run a business without principles. You gotta have principles. Whatever your principles is, set your principles up. I don't agree with your principles, okay? I got my own thing. But one thing we gonna do, we gotta come to fuck together. We gotta stop this bitching. We too motherfuckers. We've been raised by too many women and not having no men around. We bitch too fucking much. You know what I'm saying? Just because that brother he don't agree with you, don't mean I gotta shoot his shit down. We gotta stop doing that shit. We act like some fucking children. Kids do this shit. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna never get no motherfucking weird. We cry too fucking much. Oh, he doing this shit. That's what kids do. That's some feminine ass innocence, some childish ass innocence.
Yeah, but
Let's get this shit together, man.
that's why I was saying.
You got your ideology, brother. I got my ideology, but let's come together. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, we got to be reasonable people. That's one thing we
That's
done
what I'm
lost
talking
too.
about.
We done lost.
You know
We
what
done
I'm
lost the
saying?
ability
We
to
too fucking
reason.
much, man.
We done lost the ability to reason.
Exactly.
As the show was on last night, and you know the Moors, they don't like the terminology black, but that's what that black in the red, black, and green stand for. So how you
Right.
gonna shoot down black? We know it's a figure of speech. It's a terminology to use that we all should be able to agree upon. Like, we not saying our nationality is black, and you know people want to play on that terminology like, you know, it's a color,
Right.
it's a crayon,
Right.
and we not a
Right.
crayon. Well, damn it, we all smart and intelligent people. We know we not a crayon. But once again, if we gonna fly this flag and it's red for the blood, we know that ain't no actual blood on that flag. We know that red stands for something. We know the black stand for something. We know the green stand for something. So now, do you stand for the same things or not? The same principles or not? And I believe that's what it's coming down to. That it's like, well, we gotta be able to say that we got to be able to say we stand for something and what it is we stand for. So black pride and black power and black this, that, and the other, if people don't understand, oh, it's all good. We sitting up here doing the show, so you either join in or, you know. So it's black power.
Okay, I'll
It's
join in.
okay, it's black everything. So when you got people kicking against the black, then, yeah, you kicking against that flag. That's why the Moors don't fly the flag. They got their own flag. You know, we got to find ways to sit down and
They're
really
confused any damn way. They don't know what the hell they are.
right. But see, that's what
Other than us.
that's what the brother just said, that we too divisive and we got division. So we need to sit down. That's why that debate with Reggie and whoever needs to take place, so they can deal with that portion of it. But it needs to be did in a way that we can reason with each other and deal with our differences. And everybody saying they understand this and understand that, you got to be able to sit down and articulate it. Meaning you got to learn the writing skills, or you got to be able to learn some type of skill or some type of way to articulate what it is, convey your message to the people. And then the people should be able to join under the most reasonable position. Like, is this the most reasonable position? And then you find people, they gonna be unreasonable, but the collective will come together on that. So, like Sinetta like to do, you just call his name out. I know it's kind of taboo to say his name, but anyway, you know what I'm saying? He'd like to ask people, so are you black? That's his test to see if you really down with the movement or not. Are you black? And once you say I ain't black, it's like, hold up, I don't know. Well, who are you, or what are you if you ain't black? A lot of people like to say, well, what about Africa? Do you got ties with Africa, or do you diss Africa? So if you say you diss Africa, no, I don't mess with Africa. You know, like most Hebrew Israelites, then it's like, well, I don't know. Is you really down with us? Okay, are you black? So they don't want to say they Africans, but they'll say they black. So then we get together under the black banner. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be reasonable with it and have conversations. Ain't nothing wrong with disagreeing, but we got to be reasonable.
You can disagree, but I think when we start talking about grown man issues, a lot of this bickering will go away. Like, where do we go to buy land? How do we get started farming? Where do we go build the first grocery store? You know, what's the production plan for that grocery store? What school we gonna build? and what we gonna teach it at school. Once we start talking about those conversations, a lot of this bickering would go away because it's real life issues, and we know in a real life situation that the little petty stuff goes away. Like when it's time to pay my bills, I'm not worried about who's a more or who's this or who's that. I just need some money to pay my bills. So when it gets time to talk about real grown man issues, that's when a lot of this little petty stuff will go away.
But see,
Well, that's
one of the things, Carl, is when you're in your own individual group, that's for you and your group. What you guys should all be like-minded because you all form the same little small group. So y'all shouldn't have much difference between what your plans of actions are. But in the whole scheme of things, if I come to a particular state and I walking by a office and I see that they have the red, black, and green sticker on the window or something, they just sending out a signal to let me know that they're like-minded in the foundation and understanding of the red, black, and green. So I might go in there and knock on the door, and although they as a group have a little bit different direction, I'm still going to be like, what can I do for y'all if it's something I can do? Because the overall is that you down with that concept of red, black, and green. But if I walk by the door and they have some other kind of sticker in the window that doesn't indicate that they follow that format, then I'm not going to question them about what they're doing, but I'm not going to press upon them the red, black, and green ideology. That's what flags are for. They're to fly and indicate the perspective. That's what they do.
And I agree with that, and I would personally love to see every black organization fly that flag. I just know the reality is it's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't work with people who have principles and that are working towards independence and liberation no matter what flag they're
right.
flying.
It can happen, but we got to look at it like I was saying. We took, me and Niyami, we had a debate, right, over Pan-Africanism and, social, political, and economic development, if y'all don't know. So now, when you having a debate like that and you having a conversation, you got to, like I was using the basic principle that it comes from the Bible, but it should be cohesive amongst our community. Love thy neighbor. You were saying that all the beginning of the show, but never just said it was a biblical principle. But love thy neighbor, love thy brother. We should not love like Cain loved Abel and killed his brother because his works weren't good, right? So that's another thing of the childish stuff or whatever that was just stated. So now, that was my whole principle and conversation to get to this stage in the game when I say the Bible is the best tool for our liberation. So now if you say Pan-Africanism is that, or you say unite under this flag is that, then you have to once again be able to convey that message. Why is that? Why would you say that this flag is the unifying flag to come under it, right? And when you say black in there, you're going to find all them people that don't want to say they black. And not to say that that's your nationhood or nothing like that. We know the paradigm of white and black was created and what it was created for. But still, right, we have to work with the paradigm that we in. If you in the beast system and you in the jailhouse, you're going to create an organization and plans and ways to move in there, a MO in jail so you can survive in that system. That's what we do. We survive in the roughest, toughest situations. But now, when we sit down, as the brother was saying, and start talking about building houses and doing this and that, that's why I'm going to take it back to the debates. We need to find out areas where we need to stimulate the economics, right? And we need to go there, do something there, and leave money there, kind of like the churches and revivals. We going to revive, or what's that they doing in Detroit with them brothers? What they call that?
Revitalizing?
No, what's the name of that group? New area, Detroit or whatever.
New era.
New era
and stuff. So now new era is just saying we're gonna take it into a new era, and this era is gonna be different than the other. So now it's renewing something.
But they took a lot of the same principles from the original Panther Party.
Okay, but I need to talk to them because I don't know what the hell they doing. They ain't
Well,
on
They're
my
doing
radar.
good stuff.
well, let
They
me
on
say
my
this
radar
then.
because I listen to knowledge and I listen to, this brother here on
Well, let me say
Black Eye
let me say
Stain.
this then. Let me say this then, since we're going to talk about tangible solutions, because that is the core of what we need to be focused on. I agree, and we have to keep in mind that we're never going to get all of our people to agree on one idea. So that means that we can simultaneously do different things. But here's something that I'm working on right now. I have a group called the Blacktown Revival Movement Facebook group. Now, the purpose of this group is to collect people with different skills and people who are willing to relocate. Because when we're saying where are we going to farm at, where are we going to do this and that, well, like I said, we have black towns still in this nation that are controlled and governed by us. Only thing is, they're small towns, they're not known towns. So I only became aware of these towns only a few years ago. So what I'm doing is organizing people who want to go to Oklahoma, since we have 13. The only reason I'm focused on that is because I've checked the land out. It's cheap, it's fertile. We have 13 towns in that state alone, just in that state alone. So if we survey some of these cities, and I've been talking to some of the city officials and mayors, and we figure out how much land we can get, and we get the manpower down there to re-farm these lands, because all of these towns used to be big agricultural towns until World War II, when the agricultural prices went down and when railroad companies broke up. Then those towns started going broke and people started moving from those towns. So some of those towns only have 30 people, some of those towns have 1,800 people. So if we were to go back to those towns with the skills that we have, we can rebuild the education system. Some of those towns only have 60 people in the whole school system. How easy would it be for a couple teachers to go down there, create a curriculum, you know what I'm saying, and get our children, you know what I'm saying, under the red, black, and green principles, meaning that we're learning these skills so we can build our own communities, not so we can go out and get a job somewhere else yonder. So we have farmland down there. How many, if we have people who are proficient in farming and hydro irrigation and engineering, then we can farm these towns to feed first the towns and then trade with the other black towns there, and then even ship those to grocery stores and community stores abroad in Chicago, in Miami, in Seattle, where our people own stores that can use fresh GMO-free produce. What else can we do? We can also build, because there are trees in these towns. And there's also, and since they're on sovereign Seminole Creek Freakman land, you know what I'm saying, we could probably even grow hemp for industrial purposes and for medical purposes. But if not, we can still use the trees and we can build our own homes, build businesses, revitalize some of the businesses. So go to the group and check out some of the videos I put. It will show you these towns. It will show you the people of these towns. It will show you Booker T. Washington actually went to Boley, Oklahoma, I believe in 1903, wrote an article about how he seen that town, because that
I
town was one of the
believe I got
richest
that
towns.
article. Even in
It was one of
Kansas, he went to Kansas and stuff, as you was mentioning. A lot of that
the, right.
stuff. So now this is when you talking grown man bi. This is grown man business here. You know,
Yeah.
when you talking like that, that's when the arguments stop. Cause now you saying, what you gonna do? I got a spot. It's on and popping. If we go there, how many of y'all really want to get together and do the struggle and go build something? You know what I'm saying? And now it ain't for child's play no more. It's the
That's
same
right.
thing in this little town that I'm in. It ain't no but 1,000 people. If you get 20 strong people here, you know what I'm saying, that know stuff, you can take this whole town and change it overnight. Because it's nothing to
Did
get a couple plots of land and build something, and it's on and
that's,
popping.
that's right. So now
And
what we have,
going back to what the brother was just speaking on when he was talking about the agricultural land and, going back as far as World War, II, I think it was, or whatever.
yeah,
One, as a matter of fact, it's the same thing out here. Like, I'm in LA, and what? All of that was farm land. All of where they have the Jordan Down projects, the PJs and all that was agricultural farmland.
is
You
that
know what I
right?
mean? They placed our people, Watts is number 2, and the highest concentrated, number of, I'd say from 18 to maybe 35. There's 34,820 of our people in this certain block radius. You know what I mean? And right now, they're buying it out. They're talking about knocking it down and rebuilding and making it inhabitable to where human beings would want to live. And I'm like, okay, well, we have all of our people over there right now. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
But, coming to the point of finding out the developers can't even go in and do what they need to do because the soil is toxic. It's so toxic, they can't even go and start rebuilding. But this is the conditions that they have our people living in.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing that I tell people. Like, they keep talking about going to Africa, and that's why I asked that question. And I post a picture in the cover thing, the red, black, and green America, because most people use red, black, and green, and they put it on Africa. And it's like, Africa for the Africans, and let's go back to Africa. But it's like everybody don't want to go back to Africa. Some people want to stay here. And we should be a global people. So now,
that's right.
Even if you want to go back to Africa, let's just take that. If you retrace your steps, you got to go back to the plantations that you came from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
Then you go back to Africa from them plantations that you came from. So the first move should be coming to the South and even learning the skills that you need to go to Africa and farm that land and be able to govern and be civil over there. So you got to learn civics once again. You got to learn how to govern yourself once again. We don't know how to do that.
People are quick to want to go to Africa, but what do you have to bring with you to offer? You know what I mean? You have to have some type of program, some type of plan, some type of something. What are you going to do once you get there?
Well,
so
you guys both make good points. So if you don't mind me touching on both real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and touch on the sister's point about what are you gonna have when we go down there, because that's a good point. Because when we started Liberia, we went over there with the mindset of we were better than them because we had this European influence. You know what I mean? We went there without humility. We went and we can't do that this time around, because if we're thinking we're going to save Africa, look, man, they're already doing things that are big out there. So what can you really add on? Really, what we should be doing, as you said, Israel, is basically reverse engineering. So that's what the Black Town Revival movement is. And there's not just towns in Oklahoma, there's towns all over the South. So Brother T. West was on my show last week. And what he said as an answer to the gentrification process that's going on is when they offer you money for them homes in the inner city, take that money. And now if you get $100,000 for your house, depending on where you live, where I'm at, you can't get a house for $100,000. So if they offer a offer for those homes, and we take that money to the South, we can buy land. We can buy hundreds of acres, thousands of acres in some places. Land is where it's at. So if we go back to the South and we get these farmable lands, and one good, go ahead.
Nah, there's somebody, they just talking at the house.
And one good thing about this Oklahoma pick, because like I know the sister was saying that in LA a lot of the land is toxic right now. Well, the good thing about the Oklahoma place, even though they're like jewels, that it's almost like God kept these jewels hidden until we was ready. Now we ready, so they're now, you know what I'm saying, known. But so these towns are still fertile land because the land never got oil ties and you know what I'm saying, nobody never came in there with nuclear plants and anything like that, because if they did, they'd still be thriving off of the economy based on that. So these lands are still very farmable. They just don't have the manpower to do it. They might not even have, in some cases, they don't have the technological know-how. Some of these towns, when I call them, they don't have caller ID. They probably got a rotary phone, so it'll ring 20 times.
They don't even have AT&T.
Huh?
You know, that's like AT&T. We really don't have no tower around here. You come around here, your phone drop. Because there's no tower.
But think about collectively all the skills we have. We can upgrade with fiber optics the communication systems in these small towns. We can upgrade the power system. Some of them, like Boley, has their own power plant that probably needs to be upgraded, but at one point they supply their own power. That means that if the county or the state cuts off the power, they can't cut off the power, because we can recalibrate it with solar, with hydro, with kinetic. You dig? We can control
this is the stuff that we need to talk about. this the stuff we need to talk about, because this is Booker T. Washington taking you into Garvey, taking you into all the others that followed through his
That's right.
example.
We're gonna need some George Washington Carver. We're gonna need a little bit of everybody. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. So with all the collective skills and information that we have as a people, and we got to remember this: we can't look at this like everybody's gonna be down. Nations are not built by everybody; they're built by a few people with the skills and with the confidence and
yeah,
with the unity
it's not an
that move.
everybody down thing. It's whoever doing the most effective job that people follow anyway. Then
Right.
everybody.
Once people start seeing a successful model, they
Thank
will
you.
follow. They will
Say
follow.
that then. Say that then. That's right.
I agree with that.
So like
That's what
Tupac said,
we need
50
a
niggas.
successful model.
That's what I'm saying.
So
you can go
let's
to
do
the
this.
Blacktown Revival Movement Facebook group, and there's a lot of different organizations that's getting involved that have different skills. Like Tupac said, 50 niggas. You know, never ignorant getting goals accomplished is what I'm talking about. 50 real, conscious black men and women can set it off. Because remember, some of these towns only have like 100 or 2 people. So imagine if 50 of us moved down there. Listen to this. Imagine if we went to one of these little towns, and let's say that the elders in those towns were scared at this point, and they forgot the principles of what this town was built on, and they don't want to cooperate. But there's only 200 people in the damn town, and we go out there 50 deep. Now there's 250. All we have to do is convince 75 people to vote for Israel Doctrine. Now he's the mayor. Now he's controlling who's the police. Now he's controlling how the business is conducted within that town. Now he's controlling who gets land allotted that has the skills to grow it. You dig? That's called a soft coup if we had to do it that way, because it's by any means. We have too many skills amongst our people for us not to be gathering, so we don't have to worry about getting everybody involved. Let's just see who is down, and let's gather us together. And then, like brother said, when we start making progress, the progress will not only get easier, but people will see that, and then they'll get in where they fit in.
Well, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
How do I mute my phone? Because I don't want my dogs to start barking and interrupt. How do I mute it?
Really don't know, but you cool at this point. We not worried about it. We got enough information here that if a dog start barking and stop, we'll just stop the live stream on YouTube and keep talking amongst ourselves and try to build some camaraderie here.
Okay.
Because that's what it's about. What we're talking about.
This is Michelle, my bad. But another thing I would like to add, one of the brothers said something real interesting a couple of days ago. And, he suggested that, our people need to go back to the South where we have a high concentrated, amount of our people and buy us the land, period, and start building. We can get an acre out here for $300 an acre. The thing is having people on board that has a passion for it, that's not too scared to sacrifice their personal life for their 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what the RBG movement need then. At the end of the day, somebody needs to start collaborating in groups and coming together with those that's willing to come together and go back to some little small town in the South and take it over and run it. And then it'll become a refugee spot for those that need to come up out of the cities and stuff. They're shooting, they're killing, they're trying to kill me in Chicago. Let me get the hell up out of here. Okay, well, I'm going to go to so-and-so Oklahoma or so-and-so Arkansas or so-and-so Alabama or wherever you think.
Man, I didn't open up no doors. You want to?
Nothing is going to building from the ground on up. You can have your living quarters, your headquarters, your training campground. You can have the educational department in that thing. I mean, it's nothing.
That's right. And it wouldn't be difficult to do. So just look at
dedication and a passion.
So look, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna take the Black City thing with Brother Rich. I'm gonna get him on here. We're gonna talk about that more. And we're gonna what you say, yours is Black so and so sovereignty.
It's the Blacktown Revival Movement. You can look at it on Facebook group.
Well, what we gotta do is bring these two groups and organizations together so they can talk more about they blueprints and the way they laid out. Some things might be the same, some things might not be, and run that. But see, the thing is,
That'd be a good idea. And I spoke with Reggie about that on YouTube, so I'm pretty sure he'd be on board.
Yeah,
Because
and
these
yeah,
two
I think
different.
it's an inevitability that it's going to happen in,
That's right.
in in building an organization, a business, or nation state. You always look at trends, and you look at trends. You look at past trends to predict the future. So we see what's happening in Detroit, in Baltimore, New
Right.
Orleans, and all these different towns of gentrification, and there's no
Right.
new businesses, no new manufacturing plants coming in. What they going to do with the people? What's going to happen to our people in 10 to 15 years down the line? They're
well,
going
it's
to
the
have to
reverse thing once again. Everybody ran their ass from the south going to the north, thought it was better. Now the
That's right.
north then blew up. You better run
Right.
your ass back to the south.
Well,
Well,
I
you
know
got
one
to plan. You have to plan for those type of events. You have to
thing has
forecast.
not been before, and the way they destroy Tulsa, Oklahoma is we have to have a base, power-based military, period.
That's
We
a
have
good point. Let me say this to that. Nope. Let me say this to that. First of all, let's make the distinction between Tulsa, Oklahoma, and some of these other towns. Tulsa, what happened in Tulsa? Tulsa was not a black town. You know, Black Wall Street was a section of a white town, meaning the police were white, meaning it was controlled and operated by white. We just happened to have a section, so no, we didn't have sufficient military and security force to protect that. At the end of the day, we did rebuild that, and what actually killed Black Wall Street was integration. So yeah, we learn from those mistakes and we upgrade. And you're absolutely right. So in these towns, we do have to have people who are willing to stand up and protect whatever we build. Because if we're not willing to protect what we build, then we shouldn't even build it.
Right.
But we can look at it
Right.
like this
That's a great
because, and
point.
another thing I want to say, because I know a lot of people when they contemplate if this is a move they should make, they think about money and stuff like that. But listen, if we can feed, clothe, and shelter ourselves, for the most part, we don't really need so much money. You know what I'm saying? If we're building a home and that home is paid for, if we can farm our own food and we have food taken care of, and we have clothing, because we can make clothing, we can make manufacturers where we're making our own clothes, we're farming our own food, we're building our own homes and infrastructures and things and institutions. When
going
we can
back
do
to
that, the
bartering.
need for money is less.
No, you don't necessarily have to go back to bartering. You just have to plan your environment, and your
Not only
money
that,
will circulate within your own people.
indeed, indeed, and
In
plus
your
when
community.
we build businesses up, then we start manufacturing, and then we have a gross national product. We can trade with other states. We can trade
And
with
you
other
gotta
countries.
find that gross national product. There's this
That's right.
Sonetta, they don't talk about this stuff over there, but he arguing at them, well, we need money and stuff. But your cap's made in China. Yo, this made in Taekwondo, wherever, and this
Exactly.
made.
Exactly.
So now we need to be able to make some things here. Which going back to what brother Pit Boss keeps saying, the Booker T plan. So how many people want to go down to Tuskegee and see what he was doing? How many people want to talk to the people that focused on what he was doing? How many people gonna take that and go to the Black City Sovereign and the uh Black Town Revival, this, that, and the other? So we gotta find some way to sit down, congregate with each other, and talk
Yes,
about these things. So for
that's
the
right.
people that have, buildings and things of that nature, then we need to find out how we gonna get together and come to your area and sit down in these buildings or whatever and hash out these conversations.
Right. And this is the last thing I want to talk about before I have to go. I mean, we don't talk about anything military over Google Talk or anything like that, but you have to have a revolutionary ideology whenever we make a move, because the growth and development of the collective of black people is a threat to white power.
Mm.
If you
Well,
understand what I'm saying.
this is where you start gun clubs. That's as simple as that get. You got to start gun clubs and you got to have a place to go and practice taking a shot and not just shooting. That's
why you buy the land.
right.
Build your
I'm
own
with
damn
the sister.
compounds. You have your training grounds and all that.
Right.
It's all incorporated.
Or you could play with the paint guns, the war games right there. That's training.
Exactly.
Hey, can I add something real quick on on like the foundation? This is what became a threat to white supremacy for Booker T's day. That's why, you know, with my group, we make Booker T the foundation principle, because he laid the structure out so well that a racist Ku Klux Klan member of the time named Thomas Lathrop, he accused Booker T of creating masters of men, whereas he said that what he's doing, he's educating the black people to a point that they're going to be masters of themselves, meaning what you guys are saying, like they're not going to need anyone to do anything. That's the threat to white supremacy. Buying some guns, yeah, you need that just for your personal protection, but that's not going to get you out of white supremacy. The only way to get out of white supremacy is if you master an economic aspect of this system, to where when they need that particular thing, they got to come to the black folks. Just for an example, let's just say that all black folks in America, all we educated ourselves on was being in the the electrical field, where we do everything that deals with electricity. That would create us. We would be the the electrical company, the GE of America, and therefore, if we had a problem with the white folks, we just cut their power off, being that we control it.
Exactly.
So,
And some of the different dynamics in that in the days of Booker T, in the early days of some of these towns being formed and things that happen, there's some dynamics that are a little bit different that works to our advantage. That doesn't mean that we don't have to protect ourselves. That doesn't mean that we're still not going to be an ultimate threat to white supremacy. It just means that we can navigate in a different way. For instance, when they went into Tulsa, Oklahoma, all they had to do was cut the telegrams, and now no communication can get out from Tulsa to the rest of the country or the rest of the world, for them to be able to tell the world and people what's going on, and that these police and that the government is bombing them. You know what I'm saying? Now we're global. So now they, if some forces did want to come against us, now if it's just some renegade KKK forces, whatever, they can get dealt with. But as far as like a military authorized force coming to try to impede on what we're doing, it would be detrimental to their relations with other nations, because there's other nations around the world that do back us, whether you believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? And they would have to look at the integrity that they'd be compromising by doing such a thing. Not to say that they're not capable of doing it, but I'm just saying the dynamics are a little bit different, that we can work to our advantage.
Oh yeah, we definitely have other nations that is waiting for us to do something.
That's right.
I'm not talking about trying to overthrow the United States. That'll be stupid.
No, we ain't talking about that.
Just standing up for ourselves.
That's right.
And using the other nations, as the propaganda for us.
Right.
Well, what I suggested about the gun thing is just to police ourselves. Because if everybody got guns, ain't nobody just finna run around and be popping their thing off. Everybody got something to pop off. So you're gonna
that would deter any outside forces coming in. That would deter them off top.
Right. I mean,
right.
That
Our
goes.
biggest threat would just be psychological operations within the community. We would just have to know how to identify the psyops.
Right.
All
right.
those different.
Right.
Yeah, that was it.
That's true. True that, because they didn't have the luxury of knowing about counterintelligence programs. We do now, so we have to use the mistakes and things that we have learned recently to update and upgrade what our ancestors did.
Well, that's the same thing when you own when you own a jury, when you own the police force, when you own everything in the community, for us, the town, the city, then you don't have to worry about that, because you are the end all, the be all. You know what I'm saying? You're going to put them in your jail. You're going to put them in that. And that's another thing, which a lot of people don't realize, that if we build a town of this and that, we shouldn't have no jail. But if we build a jail system, that we can even be the prison guards and everything, and house these criminals from other states and reform them in our jail system.
Right.
People don't talk about that either.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's 100% true. Not only that, you know, saying like when we really look at the dynamics. So imagine I'm the mayor of a town, or you're the mayor of a town. Some outside external people, some KKK walk in there, blah blah blah. Something happens to them. You know what I'm saying? Who's investigating that? How much wrongdoing can we be? Are we going to find out our fellow citizens just for sticking up for themselves? But if that happened in Chicago, and some of those gangster brothers buck down some of these KKK that was going in there to hurt them, what's going to happen? They're going to have to go through this white supremacist jail system, and they're going to get persecuted. I'm just saying, these are the kind of differences. And as you alluded to before, we can look at all these major cities, and we can look at the death rate, not just of of us against each other, but the police versus us. But guess what? You're not going to see that in these black towns. There's not murder rates going on in these black towns. You know what I'm saying? So for those who say that, oh, it's not going to be safe, listen, I live in Seattle, one of the safest cities in the nation. You know what I'm saying? I personally know of over 15 brothers that's been killed this year alone, or since like about the end of last year to now. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening that's not happening in these towns. So I know that it's going to be safer for us to be in these towns for our children. So that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah. So I'm just glad we got together and talk like this. We need more talk like this on whoever show. And like I said, we need to come together with a national plan in somebody town and somebody building and sit down and have these conversations. Because damn it, we claim we got the answers. Sit your ass down and put them down then, so we can work with them.
You know, another thing that's a major issue is we have our youth, we have our youngsters, we have these folks out here running amok. They don't know if they coming or going. You know what I mean? They want an outlet. They about that life, but they don't know that we here. So more of us really have to be the pillars that we are within our communities and take it to the streets and touch common grounds and touch bases with our people.
That's right.
Are we suggesting that I'm just trying to understand from, like, are you saying that from a military standpoint, that as far as the black community, that we got to prepare for like a military fight with whoever?
Nah, the thing is to always stay military minded, because you never know when a fight may come. If somebody trying to burglarize your house, you're going to go into military action. You're going to pull out
I'm not talking about a personal. We understand, you know, somebody come in your yard trying to harm your family, you're going to lay them down no matter what color they are, no matter what they talking about. They violating your personal space. I'm saying as a collective, what is our answers to what we're complaining about, like this white supremacist system that we're trying to eliminate? I'm asking, is the idea like a war mentality towards the problem?
Nah, it's a building mentality.
I'm asking your panel, Carl, some of the people that were speaking from their perspectives.
Well, I think it's a building. We're talking about building and being able to protect what we build.
Okay, I agree with that. I'm just saying, you know, like I hear the lady,
not an offensive attack. We're talking about, we're building just like everybody else. The Chinese, they got their section. The Jewish, they got their sections. All these different nations have their sections. Nobody looks at them as being radical when they do that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we can build our own cities. These cities have been standing for over 100 years. So we can build that, but we have to make sure that we can protect it internally and externally.
Like the lady who calling from Watts, I think she said she was from Watts. She's still on the phone?
For sure.
Are you like over or under like 35?
I'm over 35.
Okay.
Actually, I'm 36 next month.
Oh, that's what's up. Happy birthday to you. I'm from a city in California called Pacoima, California. I'm in my 40s. I was there. Rodney King riot happened in my city. I know all those cities in Los Angeles area, been to all of them, and know many of people that live in many of those cities. And for me, you know, you're around that same age bracket where, from a military standpoint, I mean, we put that to the test with the gangs in California. I mean, I've seen many neighborhoods take war with the Ku Klux Klan or the police or whoever, and put down work better than any other organizations ever gonna fight that system from a violent standpoint. But nevertheless, they shut it down. And you know, I can contest that from just my personal city and the amount of people who sacrificed and feeling like they were fighting an evil system. You know, we had many a corrupted cops come through our neighborhood. We sent many a death threats to the Foothill Police Department and got people up out of there all day long. But at the end of the day, those same gangbangers, those same mentality, they had to elevate their consciousness after they did their 20 years in jail, and now that they in their 40s, they not on that level no more. They, you know, the same with the Black Panther Party. They had to elevate from their conscious level, and now they work for the Senate. They working in the White House. They on a different frame. So it's a building process of education and elevation.
Right. So imagine if, you know, when we start rebuilding these towns, and one of the towns, Langston, that does have a college, a black college, but imagine we build another institution in these towns. That's where a lot of our brilliant minds that we can send in to be a part of the political system, to be a part of the industrial or corporate system or whatever. You know what I'm saying? As we refine that, but really we have to keep it and build it right where we're at, and then we'll be back.
I agree to that.
So that's what we got to do. We got to put together a conference or something somewhere, and we if no one else, got to show up and sit down and build what it is we talking about now. Ain't no use talking about this and then like we ain't got to say we got to do it tomorrow. All you need is a 10-year plan. That's how the white man gentrification come through. They got a 10-year plan. They got the blueprint. They got the little demonstration of the buildings and everything. They got the foam buildings and stuff. They got the palm trees or whatever type of trees gonna be there. The oak trees. They got it already.
The things they're doing now, things that is visible to our naked eye, has been long going. It has been a plan.
Exactly.
You know, and now it's a shock to a lot of our people because they've been asleep. They don't pay attention, and they're not aware of their surroundings and what's going on. You know what I mean? So now it comes as a culture shock to them.
So
what's going on? Well, if your ass knew and paid attention, then you would know.
So we don't have no excuse. Everybody that's on this line today, go to the Fraternal Order of Pan-Africanism. That's a group. Get in there. Go to Black Intelligentsia. Get in that group. Black Intelligentsia, to be more precise with the terminology. Go to Black I Stand Nation, and then eventually we'll get into the other groups we need, but we got to be able to contact each other and deal with each other. You know what I'm saying? So we can say what programs we gonna be on, where we at, and we got to understand that we got to come to a common ground on what we gonna talk about when we get on programs, and what we talking about now at this very moment about going back into these small towns, building them up, and having no vocational training in them towns and things of that nature, and reform programs and stuff for people to getting out of jail and stuff. Send them prisoners down here to such and such. We'll use them. You know what I'm saying? But we still got to have an outreach that's in them prison, reforming them before they get out. So when they get out, then we'll know they're going to come to town and they ain't going to be looking to do nothing wrong. But then we own the police department and everything else, so we can police the city and police those that doing that. So that's how we got to do it.
Exactly. And hopefully everybody on this panel right now, we can set up something on Black I Stand Radio.
Going inside at one point or another. That's why it's important for them to stay on their A game, and while they in there, they gotta spread the word and recruit.
Right. So, like I said, let's get on these hangouts together. Let's get on these groups together. Let's talk and let's build this up. All us on here got some sense, got some knowledge, and that's all we got to do. We don't need the whole world.
That's right.
One brother teach another brother, one sister teach another sister, and then we spread it like that. and all you
Right.
need is a nice little amount of people to go in and do what need to be done. And once it's successful, as they say about, what's that, the baseball movie, the field with what is the Kevin Costner? If you build it, they'll come.
They'll come.
Build it, they will come.
So we got to take these things. That's an inspirational statement. I don't care who said it, because it's so true. If you build it and it's successful, I hate to say it this way, but black people are dick riders. They gonna ride.
That's real though. Bandwagon.
They will. They jump on a bandwagon for just about everything. Shit that ain't got a damn thing to do with this.
They just think it's successful.
And it's all good because like, you know what I'm saying, I'd rather have 50 real ones than 1,000 half and half. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We could do more with 50 solid than we can with 1,000 that ain't really solid.
All the time. You know, he took part in starting the BSU here at Trade Tech in the Tri-Cities up north in the Bay. So, you know, he's field marshal, so he even got it in. So, you know, that's another thing. We have to get into these colleges and form more body student unions, period.
Yeah,
because
no doubt.
the sources that can be, you know, assets to us, they're right there.
Right.
Okay, so let's do this before we get off this line. Who going to the Fraternal Order of Pan-Africanism? If you buy your computers,
I'm already in it.
Let me do it right now.
then who all in Black Eye Stand group? If you're not in
I am.
Okay. So outside of that, we'll start connecting now. We at least need those two groups.
And another thing that's very important, we have to build our contact logs and take it further and off of social media, because this
That's
shit
right.
isn't going to, we can't use this as a reliable source.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what we got to start doing,
Yes.
more physical events with each other.
Yes, sir.
That's why I said, see, it's like I stay 30 miles outside of Memphis, right? So when they used to do their Kojic, Church of God in Christ thing, man, they brought all the money to Memphis. Memphis messed around and did something. Now all that money goes to St. Louis, and they trying to get them back to Memphis. After G. Patterson passed, everything tripped, and it's politics. But when you do that, that's why we got to find a city, state, or a town or something where we say, okay, we gonna go here and we gonna build this place up, and this is gonna be like our hub. This is gonna be the place that we go.
I'm telling y'all, Dallas is the place. Dallas is the place.
We need a hub and a dub.
So Dallas a good place to start, if nothing else. I mean, what you got to do is politic the building, and we got to come down there and sit down and politic.
I already got the building, the Pan African Connection. Whenever we get enough people that really want to put the money into it, we can do it.
I mean, what you talking about for us? Put the money into doing what?
It takes a lot of research, So if we want to put the money and the time into the research, we can do that.
Well, I'm talking about like having a real conference, a real sit down, meet and greet, where we exchange. Like I said, we can't just do it.
We can do that in Dallas. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it and work it out. You know what I'm saying? And we'll have that show or that conversation. And the thing is to do it a nice amount of months ahead of time, so everybody will know about it and they can set their job, this, that. Yeah. And we treat it shit like a family reunion. Come on, let's get together and go to Dallas and hang out and talk business. And I think a lot of people already got the information that's needed. It's just about coming together and putting it on the table.
We're like-minded.
That's right.
So what I would suggest is everybody do it up under the umbrella of Black Intelligentsia. So I got the website and everything, and I can start working on getting that up, and we all use that as the banner in which, you know, we talk about it and do it, and then people can spread it out from there. Cause I ain't got nothing but time on my hand now, so I can most definitely work on as I was talking about, the civics and the different things that need to be done to you know, pull this whole thing off. I think the Black City plan, Reggie done laid it out. He got it. He can if he willing to come to Dallas, he can shape and mold it so he can present that. You know, and so on and so forth. It's just a matter of doing it. So the thing is, we got a location now. We got a location. Now we need is the perfect people to go up and represent, speak, and lay out certain things. And we need to just organize right now. That's all. Organize for Dallas in 5 months, 6 months. We're gonna go to Dallas, and this is what we look to pull off. Now ain't nothing to it but to do it.
The important thing is being organized and being, you know, and then we're taken more seriously.
Right.
So that structure, it plays a major part.
So.
Hey, well, let's set it up. Hey, might as well set it up. Let's go for Labor Day. Well, you know, that's what, 8 months from now, Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That worked. And by that time, I would have already even sat down with some of the officials in Oklahoma. So let's roll with it. Let's roll with it. We got too many brilliant minds not to make this happen, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, this is what. See, I'm about when people say let's do something. I'm about doing something. Even if it flop and fail, I'm gonna try.
Right.
Exactly.
So if we got a building, what's the excuse now? Everybody just got to get there, you know. Right. And if you got time and stuff, sit your little pennies to the side and get there. So now we need the proper speakers and the proper people on the panel to convey the proper message. And once that go out, just like you know, we can sit down and deal with the fact that how we gonna get the RBG minded or the gangster minded to come together and come up under.
I can invite them too. I got Lone Star RBG right there in Fort Worth. I invite them. We sit down and talk about it.
Let's go.
Right. So all of this, you know, and let's pull it off, man. We don't need, you know, other programs with their propaganda machines out there. We need something like this. So I'm gonna help spearhead this since we didn't, you know, basically birthed it right here. So we done birthed it. Now we got to do is manifest it. And everybody talking shit. I want to see what you're gonna do now. Talk is cheap. Right. Action is what we need now. So if we don't pull it out, that's because people didn't put the work in. And that's the only reason this didn't come off is because people BSing and they just talk good but not doing nothing. So I'm willing to hold my end down.
I'm down for it. I'm up for action. I got too much enthusiasm for this shit. I got too much emotion for this shit. I love this shit. I want, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to see things come to fruition.
So with that said, let's say peace, well, at least to the viewing audience on YouTube. Thanks for watching in. Subscribe. We're gonna bring more stuff to you. I got some people out of the city of Chicago that's gonna come on here and talk a little bit about the gang violence and the different stuff and what's going on in Chicago right now. So I got some more people that say they want to come on. I gotta work it out and organize that. So with that said, you know, Black Power when we out.
Peace.
Black Power.